Hello and welcome to the Radio 690 ADV. If you've had any extensive travel time or seat time in your dual sport or adventure motorcycle, you probably know by now that it's really not truly an adventure until there's a problem. Yep, we're going to talk about it next on the Radio 690 ADV. Hey, what is up? What's going on, everybody? Joe here, Radio 690 ADV. Thank you for stopping in. Happy Monday. Hopefully everybody had a pretty good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. Got to watch a little bit of NFL football. It was pretty cool. The games were pretty good. I'm an NFC kind of guy, so I don't know what you are or if you even watch football. You know, to each his own. And, yeah. So, motorcycle adventures and traveling and doing your trips and doing all these things. Yeah, they're a blast. And I love to prepare for motorcycle adventures and get all my stuff together and feed off of my buddies that I'm going to go on my trip with and get everything together and figure out where we're going to go, how long we're going to go, what do we want to see when we're out there. You know, that's the real fun part. But what I want to talk about today is, you know, as in the intro, it's not really an adventure until you have a problem. And that's the honest to God truth, because really, I don't think I've ever been on Moto and didn't have some kind of something of an issue, you know, had to be something of an issue. It doesn't have to be catastrophic. I just like to say that issues could be, you know, just minor stuff. But that's really kind of half the fun. And that's the thing that you can't prepare for, because you don't 100% know. And the question is, you know, can you fix the problem on the road? And if you can get your head wrapped around it, because sometimes you can almost make problems a lot worse in your mind than they really truly are whenever it happens or when it arises. So, you know, that's kind of the big thing, you know, to get your head wrapped around, is whenever you are on your moto adventure, not to get too wrapped up in the moment, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I had to get a sip of some coffee. I'm human just like everyone else. I'm not a robot. But yeah, because sometimes you can be so excited, you can be so pumped up and so ready to do your adventure and do the things, that whenever one little blip pops up, it can just completely change your mindset of what's going on and in the situation when you're on your trip. Because what happens is you're all happy, and then something arises, and now your mindset has just completely, your demeanor is just sunk, you know, and now you're thinking, okay, oh man, I've got a problem now. What else could go wrong? And that's really not the mindset to have. It's not what's going to happen down the road. It's what is happening now, and what can I get my head wrapped around to get it fixed. And, you know, I've got tons of stories of all sorts of different rides that we've done, and basically, you know, little problems that have arisen and happened. And, you know, and sometimes it was just, most of it really is more just getting your head wrapped around the moment, taking a minute, you know, kind of assessing the damage of what the problem is. And sometimes you just got to figure out what the problem is, because you don't really know what it is sometimes. And that's going to be the story today of, you know, of if you're a new rider or you're an intermediate rider, or if you're out traveling, or maybe you're catching this and you're like, man, I had a very, you know, similar situation on my trip. And we were on a trip in 2014, and it was me and 4 other buddies that we were on our trip, and we were touring Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and it couldn't wait. I was so jacked up about it. I just was so happy. You know, anytime the Moto comes around, everybody meets up. We have some buddies that actually live out there in Arizona, and then other buddies in Florida. And then the Florida meets to Texas, Texas meets to Arizona, and then the next thing you know, we're all together and we're doing our Moto. And when we adventure trip, basically how we do it is we really adventure trip, for the most part, because that's what we like to do. So we pack everything. So we don't stay at hotels or any of that type of stuff. We actually tent, sleeping bag, mats. We carry everything that we use on our adventures. And it's camp one night, on to the next camp, on to the next camp, on to the next camp. So anyway, without going too much into detail of all that stuff, but we were basically about 4 days in of a great Moto. It wasn't bad. We didn't have lots of rain. It was, just really nice weather. Everything was really, really cool. And we had stopped into a town, and we were basically gonna get supplies and stuff like that. And what had happened a little bit earlier in the day is my bike was having issues. I could get it to fire off, and then it would run with no problem. And then there'd be times like it just nothing. I'd hit the starter and nothing. It would just die and die and die. Well, anyway, so long story short, after going through most of the morning of it just kind of off and on, when it was running, I was okay. But when it was off, key out, and then want to go and start it back up, fuel injectors kick in, it runs through the cycle. It would not want to fire at all. So basically, we got to this little town. We were getting some supplies, basically grocery shopping for the evening, getting all of our stuff, what we're going to cook, a few beers, stuff like that, for the evening. It's nice to have a couple cold beers after a nice epic, and hard ride for the day. Anyway, so at the store, we're all done. We're getting it all put together. Just to let you know, it was a Walmart parking lot, and we just happened to find one. It just happened to work out. It was about 30 miles outside of our camp that we were going to be at, because we like to free camp. But get it all done. We're strapping down the bikes. We're getting everything good to go. And sometimes, situations that happen, they happen in civilization, which is really kind of nice sometimes, and then sometimes they don't. I've got other stories, that I'm going to do and talk about how it was assessed and how we fixed the problem and how we got out of there, because it could have been a good little bit of time, but 3 heads are better than one. So just make sure that, it's not just you that's assessing the problem, it's everybody. So anyway, in the Walmart parking lot, we are sitting there. I get it all done. I'm packing my, river bag with food, all that stuff, using my cargo net for all the extra stuff, any breads or whatever. Everybody's saddling up. And I kind of leisure a little bit. I don't like to just take off instantly. I will usually saddle up and kind of throw my leg over, sit there for a second, feel the weight of the bike, make sure, everything feels good. I want to make sure my pack is good. It's not too much to one side or the other. And everybody starts pulling out of the parking lot. And I put my key in, I flip it, I hit the starter button, and dead. Nothing. And I mean nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So then I look down, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm in gear, I wasn't really paying too much attention. So I just double checked everything, I look at the neutral lights on, hit the button, nothing. I'm like, oh man, come on. Don't tell me this is happening right now. We've been pretty good for the last, several hours, no issues. I thought it was fixed, and then nothing. So all the guys are all rolling out, and I'm just sitting there. And so eventually, finally, they looked back, and they kind of looked, and they're like, what the heck? And so they look back, and I'm sitting there. I'm off the bike, and I'm just sitting here looking at it. I'm going all around it. Well, long story short, I don't want to sit there and beat this into the ground. I ended up taking off all of my gear, my panniers, boxes, food, everything. I mean, I had the seat off. I'm looking at wires. I'm looking up underneath. I'm making sure that the spark plug cap is on. You know, I'm checking everything. And I know that a lot of people are like going, oh, well, you know, it could be a bad fuel injector. It could be a bad this. It could be a bad that. Well, just letting you know, 3 guys, actually almost 4 or 5 guys. One guy was so tired he took a nap on his bike, because just got tired of figuring out, because we didn't know. I thought the bike, so we basically just said, okay, well, you know what? It's got to be a bad battery. And logically, we did everything. We checked all the wires, everything was connected. You know, I have 12 volt accessories and all that type of stuff that are on there. It's like, well, maybe I just overexerted the battery a little too much, and I killed the battery. Logical, right? Get it out, start digging in my pouches, all that stuff. Get out the screwdrivers, take out the battery. Luckily, again, Walmart. Went inside, got a new battery from Walmart, got a new ATV battery, that would fit that bike. And, so we got that, we brought it back, we put it in the bike, got it all done. I got smiles. I'm like, yep, I think we've got it figured out. It's just a battery, it was just slowly dying, and it just could not, it wasn't recharging itself all the way, and it was just an issue. Got the battery all hooked back up, everything done, and most people are like, okay, that's probably it. Turn the key on, goes through the normal cycle, push the start button, nothing. Crap. Literally, you could just see all the air go out of the balloon. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? I'm like, we're like 4 days into this moto. We've got almost 8 more days left. And here I am at a Walmart parking lot with a bike that's dead. So I'm just like, are you kidding me? So, I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, well, the only other option is, I can't even remember what town it was, but my buddy lives in Flagstaff, and it wasn't too far away, but it was at least a day's ride to get to Flagstaff, because, they're on KLRs, and I'm on a V-Strom, and it would have been, I would have been there for at least a day. And so, long story short, we're sitting there, and I was like, we're all just literally going, okay, look, don't overthink this. Why will this bike not start? Well, we went through everything. We literally went through everything we could potentially do. And I know it wasn't the motor, because the motor just was running perfect. It was purring like a kitten. So it wasn't the motor, and it wasn't a spark plug. It wasn't a battery. I know that because we just bought a brand new one. So, what could potentially be the problem? Could it be the kickstand? Huh? Yeah, a lot of people, there's relays in the kickstand. So, and they're like, yep, it's a kickstand relay. Well, we went through everything, we checked everything, and, well, guess what? Not a kickstand. So, what else could it possibly be? Well, a little bit, longer, sitting, chilling, relaxing, just kind of walking around the bike, not letting it too much get to me, because I was already at the point that I'd already realized that I could potentially have to either take the bike to a dealership and get it looked at, or B, have my buddy go back to Flagstaff, get his truck, and then tote the bike to Flag, and then work on it there and see what the deal was. Well, it just so happened. Now, this was sheer luck. This had nothing to do with any type of mechanical skills or anything like that. Don't think that there was some, magic. This was sheer luck on how this happened. But I'm just telling you, these are little things that I've learned on my motorcycle trips that you just have to really kind of not get too into the situation, because I was almost at the point to where I'd given up. But once I lucked into what happened, you would be amazed at how much excitement came back into my world. Well, anyway, here's what happened. It just so happened, I was like, okay, what is the deal? So I sat on the bike. I put the kickstand up and down 25 more times. Just maybe it was just a small little glitch. Hit the button, nothing. Well, what happened is over on the clutch lever, I just happened to kind of, with my hand, come underneath a little bit, and I hit a wire. And by hitting that wire, things kicked on a little bit. So when I did that, I hit basically the power button, the starter, and it made a couple of clicks. I'm like, wait a minute. So then I get off the bike, I get down, I crawl underneath, and I look, and what do I see underneath the clutch lever? There is one little plug, that had worked itself back just a little bit. And guess what? It was a relay. And I didn't even know it was there. I had no idea it was there. And if you know that, then man, you probably would have figured it out way quicker than me. But I do now know that some motorcycles have relays on their clutches, and they will prevent that bike from starting. So it basically had backed itself out. And what I did is I just pushed it up. It clicked into place, and I guess it just been getting loose over time from riding. Hit the button, bike fired right up, rock and roll. And everything changed. Morale, everybody was happy, pumped up, but that's kind of the moral to the whole story, is that it's never really truly an adventure until you have a problem. And how you work that problem will dictate how your motorcycle adventure will end up. So if you don't know about things like that, check everything. Just because you think you've checked everything, look for those little wires that are up underneath and kind of hidden and out of the way, because it could be something just as simple as that. That's why that bike's not firing off. Anyway, so hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Everything was good, and you got to get out and ride a little bit. Weather was pretty good. It was a little chilly here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't know how it is in your neck of the woods, but if you can ride, ride. Anyway, shout out to everybody out there, all of my people and all the guys I ride with, Matt Bell, Billy Johnson, Vance Teets, Bonnie Johnson, Eric Wogan, Josh Wogan, all those guys, all my people, Jeff Morrison, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for being there. Tom, God, I know I'm forgetting other people, but these are the guys I see most all the time. But thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Enjoy your week, and remember, it's not an adventure until you have an issue on your bike. Don't overthink it. Don't underthink it. Just take your time, calm down. 90% of the time, it's usually a pretty easy fix. Hey, I'm Joe, Radio 690 ADV. Until next time, we'll talk at you later. 690 out.